What is up, guys? It's Dan the Man, and today I'm bringing you the last round of the 2025 Georgia Open and Amateur Championship. And based on the title of the video, this is a very painful game for me to recap. Easily can qualify as one of my worst games, and the more I discuss about this game, the more I think about it, and the more I feel sad thinking about it. But uh, I'm obligated to, share all my games of the tournament, and, this can go as a learning opportunity for some of you and for myself, that we all have pretty terrible games such as this, and it's part of life, and it's inevitable, and we just need to overcome pitfalls like this and remember that our ultimate goal is to just play chess for the fun of it, improve, and just for enjoyment. And it's not like you're competing the Olympics, everything has to be perfect. So that's the moral of the story at the end of the day. But yeah, this game, I'm gonna probably lay low in the over the board chess because this game was pretty embarrassing. But I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you. So this is the last round of the tournament, and I'm playing after losing in round 4, playing against Matias Zapata, who's actually a grandmaster named Alonso Zapata. He's the son of Alonso Zapata. So having a grandmaster dad, he has bright prospects in chess, and he's climbing up the rating ladder at 1773, and I'm sure in no time, under his dad's coaching and supervision, he will cross 2,000 and maybe become a title player himself. But this game, it just did not go my way, and he escaped on the skin of his teeth, just to say the least. So let's go ahead and jump in to see how bad this game really is. All right, so I play e4, we get the Sicilian on the board, knight f3, knight c6, d4, we get the open variation, and we actually go into a line that I'm extremely familiar with. I love it when we go into the Sveshnikov. It's the line of the Sicilian I'm most familiar with. Both Matthias and I were blitzing these moves out without even thinking. Okay, and this is where we deviate from book. He plays bishop to g5, which I suppose is a move because you didn't want... it's just moving the bishop out of harm's way in case you want to preserve the bishop pair. But I was never thinking about taking on f6 anyway because I have a pretty strong knight on d5, and I wasn't having any intention of trading it off. But it's still fine. Here I castle. He castles himself. Bishop g4. And my idea is that if the bishop takes my bishop, I would take back and activate my queen. So that was what I was intending for. And also, it just makes the bishop a bit more active on a better diagonal. It also prevents any sort of f5 ideas because I can just trade the pawn off. He goes knight e7, and this is already the first mistake of the game. Apparently I should have played bishop takes c8 here, which, I mean, I was thinking about it, but I wanted him to take me, so I kind of wanted to keep the tension here. So I just didn't take, and I didn't want to trade off my strong knight either on d5. So I played the move knight c to e3. That way, if he takes my knight, I can recapture and plant my other knight there. And if he takes my knight on e3, then I would take with my knight, and then soon after put it back on d5. And I thought this was the good plan. So that's what happens. I play knight takes e3 here. He plays bishop to b7, avoiding the trade, but also attacking the pawn on e4. I play queen d3, connecting rooks, defending the pawn, and just a slow move developing. And the thing about this position in pretty similar Sicilian positions is that for black, the d6 pawn is often the backwards pawn. It can become targeted pretty easily because the c5 pawn is often traded off, so it doesn't really have any, especially in this line, because the c pawn's traded off, the pawn on e7 made it to e5, and that kind of weakens the d6 pawn. So this is why I like this line so much. But for now, it's not really a huge concern, but in the near future, my idea is to maybe triple on the d file and really start to pressure the d pawn. So he goes queen c7, and I clearly put a rook on d1 for the reason I just explained, to attack the weakness in black's position. He plays rook on f to d8. And here I have a slightly better position, but I play the move knight d5. And my idea was that after he traded, I was expecting knight takes, and I would take with the c pawn. If I was expecting this, and after I would take back this way, I have a clear path for my rook to go to c1 and attack the vulnerable queen, and his bishop is kind of blocked in by my pawns. It's a pretty bad piece. So I kind of wanted him to go into this line. I might be wondering, Dan, how is this one of your worst games? And I would say, this is the exposition of the plot. We haven't gotten to the rising action and the climax yet. This is just the setting. So be patient, and yeah, the bad moves will come soon enough. So far the game is pretty normal. You might be surprised. Queen b6, rook a to c1, and the nice thing is my bishop controls c8, so he can't really challenge my rook on c1, and I have a clear control of the c-file, and I thought I was having a pretty sizable positional advantage, even though the engine doesn't really agree with me. So he plays g6, and I wasn't expecting this move, but it makes sense because in the future you want to create a left for your king. Maybe you're wanting to reinforce f5 at some point, so I guess it made sense in theory. I played queen d2, maybe wanting to sneak into h6 now that the dark squares are a little bit weak, maybe wanting to go queen g5. He plays king g7, and I go queen g5 anyway, understanding that I can get kicked out with f6, but I wanted him to do that because now his king is a little bit airy. He has a bit of an open space around his king, and that could pave an avenue for some sort of attack. And maybe I was sort of baiting him to make a weakening move, so even though I wasted a tempo, I just wanted him to play f6. So here he plays rook f8. His idea is to play f5 and open the rook, scope on f-file, and maybe trade in the center. I play bishop to e6. Now that e6 square is, since he played f6, is an outpost, and I just sink my bishop into that square. And if his knight ever moves, right? If his knight ever stops controlling c6, my idea would also be to play rook c6, gain tempo on the queen, and then bring my other rook to c1, where I would have a very active position here. So he plays rook a7. I didn't quite understand that move, but I'm assuming it's that I'd never invade on the 7th rank. Here I play h4, which the engine doesn't really like, but I didn't really see what else I can do. Also the point of rook a7 is that since he can't go to c8, he would challenge my rook with rook c7. He didn't do it now, but that was maybe an idea of his in the future. He played f5, the whole point of bringing the rook and the knight, and I go ahead and take. Knight takes f5, and as I said, since the knight is no longer guarding the c6 square, I first trade off the knight, which I apparently shouldn't have done. Now, black's slightly better, whereas I was slightly better a few moves back. So after rook takes f5, I play rook c6, and I thought I was pretty happy because my rook's on a great square, backed up by the pawn on d5. I'm hitting the d6 pawn, and I'm forcing the queen to retreat to defend the pawn. But also, by taking on f5, black now has access to the f-file. He can hit my f2 pawn. Queen's aiming at h4, so at the end of the day, it's not really a super pleasant position for me, but it's not. Black doesn't really have a super big edge either, and it's pretty equal. So here I play queen to e3, which is a mistake. And I realize it's a mistake because while I am attacking the rook, I'm just inviting the rook to go here. And now there's a double attack on f2, plus this pawn's hanging. So I'm actually quite surprised that Matthias didn't play rook af7 and instead played rook ff7, which to me made no sense. And yeah, I didn't really understand why he moved that rook. But here I play the move h5, and I was happy to sacrifice the pawn because if the pawn takes, which is actually apparently the best move, I would maybe play a check and force the king to the corner. And even though this is a draw. I would probably double up on the c file, threaten to pin, and let's see if like rook c7 were to be played. Yeah, see, you can make a mistake pretty easily here. So it's just saying it's more easy. It's easier to make a mistake when your king is sort of opened up. But he got scared, as would I. He played the move g5. He's trying to close the file towards his king, and now I'm back to being slightly better. Rook on d to c1. I was feeling really confident here. Planning to go rook c8, attack the queen, maybe play queen b6, and start an invasion in his position. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to end with 3 out of 5 in this tournament. I'm going to end with a majority win, winning more games than I lost. So I was like, okay, we're going to end the tournament on a nice win. So here he played queen f6, and here I played the move queen b6, maintaining defense on the f-pawn, while also hitting the d-pawn twice. And here he played the move rook b7, and I actually realized that this move was kind of a waste of a turn, because after rook a b7, I have to go back to e3 to keep my pawn defended, so that move really didn't accomplish much. And here, I'm actually going to turn the engine off, because it's just for tactics. So here, he played the move rook to b5, right? Rook b5 looks like a very normal move, right? You're attacking the pawn on d5, and it doesn't seem like a blunder. But here I started to see tactics, right? I started to scan for tactics. I was thinking, okay, if I deflect the queen from g5 I was actually thinking about the winning move, which is the sad part. The winning move here is rook captures d6. And that was like what I was looking at for the 10 minutes when I was thinking here. Rook d6 was crossed my mind almost instantly. But the thing about tactics like this is that you have to see the full puzzle. You have to see the whole 9 yards. You have to see the entire combination. Otherwise, your tactic won't work. So here, after queen takes d6, which is essentially forced, obviously queen takes g5. And this is what I was calculating. The queen can't block because my pawn is on h5. And if the king were to go to f8, then my life is really easy, because after rook c8 check, the king is nearly checkmated. The king can't move. And after Matthias would block with the queen, I would mate him. So I'm like, okay. So after this, the king is forced to the corner, right? And this is what I was trying to see for the past 10 minutes on this turn. I saw the first 2 moves. Those were easy. But then I'm like, okay, if the king goes to the corner, what do I do now? Rook c8 check, right? But then I didn't see after rook f8 if this was still winning for me or not. This is what I was trying to picture in my mind. Like, okay, is this losing? Is black actually defending here? Maybe this tactic doesn't work. And this would have been one of my most clutch games I've ever played if I had found this combination. This position could be converted to a tactics puzzle on chess.com. It's so beautiful and so it's so beautiful and so majestic, this solution. Apparently the winning move is h6, which I mean, seeing all that mentally is really hard. If I had played this out like I am right now, I probably would have found h6. But seeing 4 moves ahead all mentally, you kind of lose track of the position, and you might imagine pieces that are actually not where they are on the board, so you might miscalculate something. But looking at it right now, h6 is a pretty logical move, but over the board I couldn't really see it. So after h6, the point is I'm threatening mate on g7. And I'm like, okay, how does black stop that? If they defend with the queen, remember the queen's defending the rook on f8, so I would just take the rook. So I'm like, okay, what about rook b7? Am I losing? After rook b7, it looks like black's fine because, they're defending the rook on f8, the checkmate on g7's covered, so how am I winning? So pause the video and see if you can find the winning move. This is why I turned the engine off. This is so beautiful, and this would have been one of my proudest games if I had found it. So in case you're back, the winning move is queen takes e5 check. Oh my god. And the point of that is it's deflecting the queen from guarding the rook. And after queen takes, I would take on f8 with a back rank mate. Holy moly, that is beautiful. Am I right? that I had to see rook d6, queen d6, queen g5, king h8, rook c8, rook f8, h6, rook b7, queen takes e5. Not easy to see in your head, unless you're like Magnus level. So after queen e5, that's the move I missed. After I missed h6, and then after rook b7, I totally didn't even think about this brilliant, amazing queen sack on e5. And if the queen doesn't take, I would just take his queen on d6. So I would just be up a bunch of material. So that is the combination I missed. And I'm really kind of disappointed I didn't see that far. That would have been a very beautiful move. So yeah, you're seeing the point now. So after rook b5, I missed it and play rook c7, which is not a bad move either. Well, it's a bad move, but black has to play one or two moves to not be losing. Here, Matthias plays king h6, which I can't explain that move if he paid me. I didn't really understand it. It's like, I don't really understand what's going on. Why are you moving your king? So here, I noticed that I can play queen a7, which is the only winning move in the position. And the point is that I'm x-raying this pawn on h7, and I'm essentially forcing the rook to trade. But after rook takes c7, who's defending h7? No one. The only move I was thinking of that could be played was queen f5. I'm like, okay, if queen f5 were to be played, I would play rook f7, and if the queen keeps trying to defend like this, then I would just, check, and I would play queen f7, and the king is basically on the verge of being checkmated. So I thought Matthias would go into that line. And I'm +6 here, but here he plays king takes h5. Very brave move, allowing me to play rook f7. I play rook f7 first. I thought that was more accurate, because the queen only has a couple squares to move to. If the queen goes to h8, it would be a fork. Same with h6, it would get pinned. And queen d8 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So he played queen g6. And the point of playing rook f7 is that I wanted to block the king from escaping to g6. So only now do I take on h7. He plays king g4, and I'm dead on winning. It's so winning. I play queen d7 check, and a big chunk of my advantage has disappeared. A very easy move was just rook f7. Apparently, it was winning. I was also thinking about trying to threaten some sort of checkmate with queen e3. The thing is with queen e3, he can't take the rook because queen f3, queen h3 would lead to mate. But then I saw that queen b1 check can be played, and then he'll grab this rook with check, and I thought I'll be losing. But apparently this is a draw, but, this is still pretty bad for me. So I was thinking along those lines, but I played queen d7 check, and I still retained a big chunk of my advantage, but it's not nearly as much. So he played king f4. And the reason I played queen d7 is because I'm like, oh, I got a fork. But then I see the problem. If I take his rook on b5, he takes on h7, and it'll be a drawn position. So I'm like, okay, I need to save my rook, but also make a threat against his king so that he has to deal with the threat against his king, and then I take on b5. So I was thinking, where do I move my rook to do that? So I play rook f7 check, king to e4, and now I start to get panicked because the king is actually starting to escape. The king might take this pawn and then run to the queen side to get safe. And I'm like, I can't really be butchering this position. This position is so good. The king is on e4, for Christ's sake. How am I not finding the win? How am I not finding the knockout punch? And this is, there's actually only one winning move here, and I missed it, which is pretty annoying. I played the move, if I had found the move queen to e8, I would be winning. Queen e8 is kind of a hard move to see, because, and this is pretty insane stuff. The point is that I'm threatening, sorry about that. I'm threatening rook here to win the queen through a discover check. And if the queen moves off the diagonal, like to h6, then I would take the rook on b5. So that's the point. I'm constantly threatening to win the queen with rook f4. And if the queen moves off the diagonal to h6, I would take the rook. So there's two threats here, and I missed this move, which is annoying. So at first I missed this beautiful rook d6 motif, and now I missed the I repeat because I didn't really know what to do. And then I missed the queen e8 move, and I instead play queen g4 check. I'm like, I have to continue the attack in some way. Queen e8 is really hard to see because it's not a check, it's not a capture, but it's some very sneaky threat. So after queen g4 check, somehow the king is surviving. It takes on d5, and I have no attack. Even though the king's in the center of the board, there's no way I'm checkmating it. And I play rook f5. I'm like, I'm trying to attack the pawn on g5. Maybe I want to continue the attack that way. Rook c5 was played. I play rook captures on g5, and now black is better. He plays queen b1 check. I play king h2. He plays queen captures on b2. Queen f3 check, and now I'm just down a pawn. And even though his king is in the center of the board, there's no way the king is safe. There's no checkmate. King c4 was played. Rook g4 check. King b5, queen b7 check, king a4. So I managed to chase the king all the way from h6 to a4. It ran around the entire board and somehow survived along the way, which is annoying. And I play queen d7 check. The king continues its journey down to a3. And I play queen takes d6. And now he's just dead on winning. He plays queen captures on f2. And, I mean, his king's on a3. This is bonkers. I play rook g3 check. King captures a2. The king is sitting on a2. It's on my side of the board, and yet it's completely safe, which is it's just one of those moments where you like want to pull the hair out of your head. Like, how is this not mate? Queen e6 check. King a1. The king has made it to my corner of the board, and yet it's okay. It's not mated. How is this a real game? Queen d7. I'm trying my best. Maybe trying to go to a4. Maybe trying to go to d1. And here he plays queen c2, defending both threats, covering both squares. I go rook d3, threatening the check on the back rank, and then go to d2 to pin the queen. And he actually allows that to happen, which I was pretty surprised. But even if after this move, I'm still losing. This is the super annoying part. I'm still losing here because of these stupid passed pawns he has. And after he gives me the queen, after he plays b3, I have the option to take the queen. But he's just going to have these two passers, and I'm not going to be able to stop them. Here I actually hallucinate. I thought I can get a draw after I play rook takes c2 check. B captures c2, and I thought queen takes a4, I get a perpetual. Why did I think I get a perpetual? It's because after queen b4 check, I thought, okay, the king can't go to the c file because I would take the rook on c5. And if the king were to go to a1 or a2, like in the game, I thought I'd go queen a4 check, and the king would have to go right back to the b file, and I would just check repeatedly, and it would be a draw. But what I had failed to see in my mind, or what I had misinterpreted, not that it really mattered anyway, was that I forgot the queen could just block on a3. And now I'm out of checks. And this is where I started to get really mad at myself, because I had let this happen. I had an internal feeling I was winning, and I knew I had somehow blundered along the way. I just didn't know exactly where. Queen e8, I tried to maybe play some hope chess, get some perpetuals. So after a bunch of desperate checking, he finds a way to escape. After a bunch of checks, here, and I play queen f7, the checks run out, and now he's just dead on winning. He plays queen e5 check, I go to g1. He plays e2, queen f2 to pin, and after queen e3, I resign, and this was a really painful game against a lower rated player. I had a +6, +7 position for several moves, and I didn't find two beautiful tactics, rook takes d6 and queen e8. So this game is going to make me retire, because this is a game I'm not proud of. And if we take a look at the accuracy, 81.2, in retrospect, it's not that bad. But if you look at the graph, I was dead on winning for so long, for a good chunk of the game, and Matthias just escaped by the skin of his teeth. He was hanging by a thread, and I didn't manage to cut the rope loose and win. So that's a really painful game, and hope you guys are sympathetic and understand why this game can tilt me in over the board tournaments. And yeah, we end the tournament with 2 out of 5. Pretty bad tournament in my opinion. The ratings haven't come out yet, but I'm sure they will soon. And I'm expecting to dip below 1900 because, this loss will tank a bit of my rating. But yeah, that's how chess is sometimes. So if you like content like this, don't forget to smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought of the game, and have a great rest of your day or night. Bye.